flows with Marvel, so that means probably Benedict Cumberbatch and Doctor Strange, among other surprises. It'll be a lot of action after a couple of somewhat quiet days.
This is ABC News.
There's a reason why so many celebrities use Proactive. Their faces are their money. And it's time for you to get it because Proactive has set up a special 800 number. For just $19.95, you'll get Proactive and a rotating deep cleansing brush. A $45 value, yours free. For only $19.95, you're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear or your money back. Here's the number, 1-800-644-5944. Call now for a lifetime of beautiful skin. 1-800-644-5944.
From the KMET Weather Center, we have a heat advisory in effect through Sunday evening for Beaumont and the Pass area. It'll be sunny and hot today with a high 107. Tonight it'll be clear and windy on 78 with gusts at 30 miles an hour. Sunday looks to be sunny, hot and windy with a high 88 with gusts at 30 miles an hour. We'll have a sunny Monday with a high 86. For the Inland Empire today, it'll be sunny and hot with a high 108. For Palm Springs, it'll be sunny and hot. We can expect a high 115. I'm Rod Tanner for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Summer in the Inland Empire. You know what that means. Sunny days and hot temperatures that make you want to stay inside. Franklin Mechanical Systems can repair or replace your air conditioning unit to get it working cool before the heat hits. For cleaning, repair, or a new installation, call them for a free estimate. Franklin Mechanical Systems for all your residential and commercial air conditioning needs. Call their Beaumont office at 951-845-1000. That's 951-845-1000 and get cool today. Following is a pre-recorded program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome. It is time for Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs right here on KMET 1490 AM and worldwide at KMET1490am.com. If you want to catch the podcast, go to KMET1490am.com. Go to the Saturday link, find Constitution Radio, pull up that page, and there'll be a link to the podcast in case you missed the episode. You can also listen on your phone. There is a KMET app. Go to KMET1490am.com with your smartphone and pull up the app, and you can listen to the show live on your phone as well. So the wonderful thing about technology, Alex, is technology is our friend and can get us out to the crowds out there in many different ways. And speaking of Alex, how you doing today, my friend?
Well, good afternoon, desert denizens, and a hearty hello to any and all inhabitants of the Inland Empire. Welcome to our clear-eyed colloquy on the United States Constitution and all the local, national, and international issues that appertain thereunto.
If you would like to talk to myself or Alex and compliment him on his introduction, 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. That's the studio line while we are live. Sorry, if you call while we're on the podcast, well, you'll get some other show. And before we get started, we have a guest, so I'm going to bring him on in a minute. But first, I want to, Constitution Corner, the liberal left strategies. Have you ever heard of the Hegelian principle or the Hegelian dialectic? Well, what do you know about it, Alex, or do you know much about it?
I know that it's where Marx started.
Yeah, and George Hegel came before Marx, but and basically the Hegelian dialectic is this. And interestingly enough, it started showing up about the time America became the great nation that it is. It was as if all of these methods on how to stop liberty suddenly started emerging after America became a nation. But anyway, George Hegel, German, this was his way, a strategy to stop a system of liberty. First, you create a problem, and then you create opposition to the problem, and then you provide a big government solution to that problem. Now, Black Lives Matter, I think, is a great example of that. You create the problem, racism. Whether or not it exists is not the point. You create this problem, then you create the opposition, Black Lives Matter and anybody else out there, and then you come up with a big government solution to that problem.
And right here in River City, yeah, we got trouble, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're on AM radio? Be careful what you say. Yeah, we can say anything we want as long as we don't make the FCC angry. Now, speaking of Europe and all of that, we have a young man on the line with us who is originally from Nice, France. Now, with what just happened in Nice, that's kind of fortuitous timing. He is a young man who's the president of the Riverside Republican Assembly new club. And so we're going to have him on to talk about all that and also get his feelings about what happened in Nice and Trump and all of that. So, Kevin, welcome to the program. I for fear of butchering your last name, I'm going to leave that to you to tell us.
No worries. My last name is Bautier, but you can say it however you want to say it. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I wish I was on the studio with you, Mr. Gibbs, but told you I was preparing for a final and cannot make the drive out there in Beaumont. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the air, and I've heard nothing but great things about you and your new group there in Riverside. Real quick, before we start going into some political news, tell people about the new Republican Assembly out there in Riverside that you're running.
So we have we started this club back in May, and yes, we have around 50 members now. We meet up every month. I think it's Monday of every month, and we have a great turnout. We have lots of young people invested. It's not I go to UCR, but it's not school related. It's off campus. We have members from 18 to 80 years old, and we have strong conservative values. And, you know, we are more than just a diner club. We try to be dissident. We're all about action, and we are working closely with aspiring congressmen, aspiring assembly district, and that's what we're trying to do, trying to put them in office, it's all about putting good guys in office so they can do what's right for us.
Well, I tell you what, you being a young man, because you're under 30, and if you don't want me to tell everybody your age, I won't, but you're under 30, and one of the frustrating things about conservatism and the people who are active and involved is they all have more gray hair than I do and more grandkids than I do. And,
well, you know
and that's been really the frustration out here. And here you are, a young man, and you're saying that you have younger members of your club. And for someone like me, that's definitely something that makes me feel a little hope for the future. But I'm going to assume, you correct me if I'm wrong, that gray hairs are probably the majority.
Of a membership? No, actually not. You know, if you look at our board, I'm 25 years old. You can say my age. I have nothing to hide. 25 years old, and I'm one of the oldest on the board.
That's awesome.
Yes,
it's good to have a young movement that wants to be active.
We have to be active. You know what? We did the math, and we saw there is much more Democrats than us, and the only way we can win in the election is by being more proactive, being more loyal, being more engaged. Only way we can win, sir.
Now, you're not originally from the United States. You're originally from France, and I've been told you are from Nice. And with the recent terror attack in Nice, with the truck driving through the crowds and all that there, what was your immediate reaction and feelings once you saw that?
It is gruesome because it seems like so close to me. It's places I know right by where I live, and I you know, it's funny. That's not funny. It's tragic. I was on the phone with one of my best friends. He lives 3 blocks away from the promenade, and I was on the phone live, and, you know, it's almost like I've felt it, this whole thing happening right in front of me. I was on Skype with him, talking about many things, and you know what? Everybody is affected by the 14th of July because it's a tradition out here in Nice. Everybody has at least been once to the promenade with their family to see it. It's heartbreaking, hard to process, but sadly it's what's going to happen, even more frequently if nothing is done. You know, as you mentioned, I've lived in Nice for the first 20 years of my life, and I feel I'm coming from the future. And we have to control who comes in and out of our country. With no borders, there is no country. And going back to the attacker, there is no such thing as a lone wolf. It's more of a wolf pack, many people around him. And you know, first I thought that those who were susceptible to commit those things were probably people who had a bad situation, unhappy with their lives, but this man had 3 kids, a steady job. Yes, true, granted he was in divorce, but he was not so much in a bad situation. And these evildoers did something that was premeditated for at least 1 year ago. They scouted the place in 2015 during the fireworks, and it was thought thoroughly. Himself and his accomplices and also the numerous sympathizers they have. They hold the hatred against Western society, and also against us, the infidels. And as we can see in Europe, there is a very subtle war going on with not everyone, only just a few who are radicalized, and we need to find solutions on how to react. And, I mean, we can see the news is getting even more intense as what happened in Germany the last 2 days.
Right.
Teenager butchering people with an axe in a train, and yesterday shooting in Munich. And I hope, sadly, our Australian government is being jeopardized right now. And it was just an example that the bad guys always are able to find a way to put their filthy hand on guns. And, I I wish with all my heart that the government will never forbid law-abiding, tax-paying citizens to protect themselves.
Our problem here, sir, is that we see Europe as ineffectual. The authorities are kind of like Barack Obama. They don't understand that their existence is being threatened, even when their women are raped in mass.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. Everybody is being put down into submission, and nobody's acting up, nobody's speaking out loud about what's going on. And it is a big problem. And I'm angry against the government because they are not doing their number one duty, the police either. They're not protecting their citizens. And it's true, doing evil is very easy. And we need together find the answer. It's a cancer taking over slowly, contaminating every one of us. And now
this political correctness is going to kill us all.
Oh, absolutely. Folks, you're listening to Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs on KMET 1490 AM. Our guest is Kevin Boutier of the Riverside Republican Assembly, and we're discussing the terror attack in Nice, France. And, when I'm talking to folks that are not as conservative as I, and they say, well, Doug, come on, don't be so hard on the refugees. There's, the chances are there's only a couple of terrorists mixed into those numbers. And I think Ben Carson said it best when he said, well, if you had a big, giant bowl of M&Ms, you knew 3 of them were poison, would you eat any of those M&Ms? I mean, so, for us to invite through this refugee, I get it. There are people who truly do want to escape that area. But during World War II, we prohibited the Germans and the Japanese and the Italians from immigrating in the United States, not because we were insensitive, not because we were racist, but because we couldn't tell the good from the bad. And so it just makes sense to not be importing these terrorists into our country through this refugee program. Yet we see our leaders here, and especially in Europe, increasing the numbers despite the fact that these terror attacks are going on. How do you feel about that, Kevin?
How I feel about that? It's a tough question to ask me, but I think, I told you, with no borders, there is no country, and we should be hard. We should scout them thoroughly. And I have a feeling that what's going on in Europe, it's a lot of immigrants, people who want the benefits, who want to be freeloaders, have a free ride on the system. It's not especially people who want to partake and make the world better.
People like Hillary, they always pull this compassion thing. How can we be compassionate to all the millions of people that are being threatened by Islamic terrorism? We can't. The point is that she wants to flood America with people with a different culture and a socialist mindset, so that she can. Go ahead.
Okay, but furthermore, the culture is not. You said what different culture? I think the culture is almost antagonist. It's completely opposite. Meaning that
sure it is. Yeah.
Sharia law is 100%.
It's not compatible with the U.S. Constitution, that's for sure.
Ask the Yazidi, ask the Christians in Syria, how they're being treated by their peers out there.
Yeah, well, and there's actually, genocide against Christians going on in the Middle East. And those will be the targets here once they start gaining the numbers that the Muslims are wanting to achieve, which brings us to Donald Trump. One of the things that vaulted Donald Trump into the limelight as a GOP candidate was his claim that he wanted to build a wall at the southern border and ban Muslims from immigrating into the country until we figure out what's going on. And that is what people, for the most part, have been wanting to hear, because people with common sense know the danger of allowing an enemy to enter your country without any obstacle. So Mr. Trump now has received the GOP nomination, which we saw just the other day on TV. And he's being criticized for that. The Democrat Party is saying, well, he's unfeeling and he's racist and he's insensitive. What are your thoughts?
That's the war that they've been doing. The Democrats, everybody who is against the political correctness, they are labeling him with very negative terms. And at the end of the day, I mean, they're accusing Mr. Trump of so many things that he's the opposite of. It's ridiculous. And that's what they're doing. They're doing a good job at being anti-Trump. And I'm also asking all those there are plenty of Republicans also who are part of the Never Trump movement. And I'm just asking them, as flawed as you might think he is our only hope. He is our only hope. In November, please pinch your nose and vote for him. It's the only hope we have.
All right, we're coming up on a break, so we're going to have to let you go. But before we let you go, remind everybody about who you are and what the Riverside Republican Assembly is.
Okay, so Riverside Republican Assembly, it's a political club, political group. Anybody can join. We meet the second Monday of every month. We usually meet at the Mexicali on Sprout Street in Riverside. And we have some very interesting speaker. Next August 8th, we're going to have Donald Dix.
Okay, Don Dix is a friend of mine. He's a great speaker.
Yes, great guy.
In fact, he's a perfect speaker for what we're talking about since he's a part of Act for America.
Exactly. He's a tremendous guy. Lucky to have him. And it's a pleasure. And I invite everybody who just loves the country, who loves freedom, who loves America, and who wants to keep our American values, who love Americanism, and everybody who is opposed against what's been going on, the liberal agenda, and the plans of the Democratic Party if Hillary is elected president.
Well, thank you for spending the time with us. Real quick, you guys have a Facebook page, right, for the Republican Assembly group?
Yes, we do. So let me get the exact address. The address is Riverside CRA.
Riverside CRA.
www.facebook.com/Riverside CRA.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you for spending the time with us, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll definitely get out there, and hopefully you'll have yours truly, the Constitution guy, come out and speak sometime as well. And thank you for joining the program. You definitely made it a great first segment.
It was a pleasure. Have a good day, sir. And have a good day to everyone. There is plenty of hope.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thanks for all you do. All right, folks, you are listening to Constitution Radio right here on KMET. Before we go to break, I want to remind you, if you want to follow me on Facebook, and you can even communicate with me through message on Facebook during the program. I have my Facebook page up, facebook.com/Douglas V. Gibbs, V as in victory. So that's facebook.com/Douglas V. Gibbs. You can also look up some of my other pages like Constitution Speaker, Constitution Study, and Political Pistachio. And, of course, I write at politicalpistachio.com. Learn more about me at douglasvgibbs.com. And also, don't forget to find KMET 1490 on Facebook and friend the station as well. This is the station bringing us to you right now. And when we return after the break, we've got a book of the week, we've got some Constitution discussions, and we have a lot of stories to talk about. So don't go anywhere.
The true patriots of All-Star Collision have been proudly serving the Inland Empire for over 20 years. Built on honesty, integrity, quality, and old-fashioned customer service, we offer lifetime warranties for our work, and every vehicle serviced by All-Star Collision is washed, detailed, the headlights polished, fluids are checked and topped off, safety checked, and returned in showroom condition. We offer free estimates, are approved by major insurance companies, and accept all claims for all cars and trucks. We use computerized frame straightening to factory specifications, offer fiberglass body repair and paint, free local pickup and delivery, and after-hours towing. Mention this radio program at drop-off and receive $100 off or a free rental car for up to 5 days during your repair. Visit us at allstarci.com or at 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Call us at 951-279-9161. We are the kings of wreck and roll.
What's your constitutional IQ? Your quest to learn the Constitution can be fun for the whole family. Learn about the Constitution as you play the Constitution Quest board game. Learn more at constitutionquest.com. Help me fight the good fight. This radio program is funded by advertising dollars. So, if you are a business, add Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs to your business portfolio. If you are a listener, become a patron of the business's advertising on this program. Without advertising, your weekend dose of truth ends. With more advertising, Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs grows, and we will be on the way to win the battle to restore the Republic. To learn more, email us at constitutionspeaker@yahoo.com or visit douglasvgibbs.com.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, President Wholesale Capital Corporation, your direct mortgage lender. Real estate prices are still low, which means now's the time to buy your next home before they go up. Whether it's a home to live in, a vacation house, or an investment property, we can meet your mortgage financing needs to help you realize the next phase of your American dream. At Wholesale Capital Corporation, we make sure you get a loan that you can afford with terms that work for you. Wholesale Capital welcomes FHA buyers, conventional buyers, jumbo loan buyers, and we proudly help the U.S. military veterans take advantage of the zero down payment VA loan program. Nobody treats veterans better than Wholesale Capital Corporation. Seniors, if you're interested in creating an additional stream of income or just making your mortgage payment go away with a reverse mortgage, Wholesale Capital would love to help you. To speak with a loan officer who has your best interests in mind, call Wholesale Capital at 855-640-2020. That's area code 855-640-2020. Wholesale Capital Corporation, where we can close.
And now, back to our program.
Welcome back to Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs. Before we start rambling through some stuff here, I was out of town earlier this week, and so I was in a hotel room and had a HBO on and was too lazy to change the channel, so I was forced into watching Bill Maher. Well, I wasn't forced into it. I could have, actually got up out of my seat where my computer was, walked over to where my wife was clutching the remote as she slept and grabbed it and changed it. But I decided not to, so I watched Bill Maher, and he has like Michael Moore on and a couple of other nut cases. And I won't use the exact language, but I'll use enough letters you'll know what I mean. And Bill Maher is talking about the Republican National Convention. It says, you won't believe it, but those AHs, figure it out for yourself, folks. Those AHs were applauding the police. How dare they?
Even more shocking to me, Michael Moore predicted that Trump is going to win the election.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I watched it as it happened. Everybody else read about it later. All right, real quick. Story number 10, Hillary's America. Hillary's America, saw it yesterday. Nailed it. Great film. I think Dinesh D'Souza outdid himself. You promised to see it soon?
Absolutely. As soon as I can get in the theater, I'll be glued to the seat.
Story number 9, corruption of the liberal left. International Monetary Fund chief, what's her name? I don't have it right in front of me. I'll bring it up in a minute. Lagarde, that's it. Christine Lagarde. She's getting ready to go to trial over, corruption, giving money favorably to certain people to get favors back and all that. These leftists are the same across the board.
She's accused of this?
Yeah, she's going to be on trial regarding this.
Wonderful.
And it goes back to when she was a French financial minister. Then Julian Castro, you've heard me talk about him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I've seen him as a rising star in the Democrat Party, and I fear that he could be something worse than Obama. And he was one of the front runners for Hillary Clinton to choose as her VP pick. And then he got himself into trouble. He got caught acting like a Democrat, basically. And once again, in this case, he gave Hillary favorable words and a political opinion while in the capacity of his position as the Secretary of the Housing and Urban Development. He can give his opinions outside his position. In other words, as a private individual. But when he is talking in the capacity of his position, he's supposed to be apolitical. So he's gotten in trouble for that.
It's amazing how these socialists love money.
I mean, here in California, we have an open primary. You know what that means? In our senatorial race, we have a Democrat versus a Democrat. Serious. Loretta Sanchez and Kamala Harris. Camel's nose in the tent Harris.
Well, it seems to me that it's 50 cents of one and half a dollar of the other.
Well, exactly. Number 8, GOP diversity. Democrats not so much. Last Saturday, we had some substitutes in here to take my place from the Banning Beaumont Cherry Valley Tea Party, bbcvteaparty.net. And I was in Stanton at a Republican Assembly event, and the diversity was incredible. Black, Asian, Hispanic, white, And when I was there, I wasn't really thinking about the diversity. These were just a bunch of fellow conservatives. And I was talking to them, and one gentleman, William, who's running for mayor of Los Angeles from East L.A., and black gentleman from Inglewood, another one from L.A., and South Central, all that, and various individuals. Didn't really think about it being anybody but conservatives. And then afterward, I'm driving home, and I'm like, that was quite a diverse crowd. And I got to thinking about those Black Lives Matter crowds. Think they're real diverse? Probably not.
I noticed that they talk about schools being diverse now in California. That means they're 98% Hispanic.
Yeah. Well,
how's that diverse?
Think there's much diversity at the Democratic National Convention?
Actually not.
Bill Maher said that the Republican National Convention was just a convention of old white guys. And then I looked at the crowd. That's not what I saw.
Bill Maher's an old white guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Oh, and by the way, Hillary Clinton chose her VP pick, Tim Kaine, an old white guy. All right. Republican National Convention. Trump did accept his nomination. Gave a fantastic speech. Now, whether or not he's being totally honest with everything he said, I don't know. But, you've heard my opinion. I'm not necessarily a Trump fan, but I think that to protect his product, I think he's being honest. Also, I think he's sort of like the Tea Party in the sense that Obama was such a shock to the system, it forced him to get political because Obama was so bad. Does that make sense?
It makes sense that the whole country has been animated by this insanity that we have in the White House. That's how come so many people showed up to vote in the Republican primary. What's the percentage of increase? Something like 60%.
Well, he shattered the record by like 1.4 million voters.
Well, it's just that people are scared to death.
Ted Cruz showed up at the RNC, gave his speech, and he actually made himself look very foolish.
Well, I have always been, as you know, I've always been a big fan of Ted Cruz, and he has, as far as I'm concerned, he has tarnished his brand for a long time to come.
Yeah, I understand what he thinks of Trump. I understand what a lot of people who are never Trumpers, I get what they're thinking and saying. But I don't think that Trump is the pariah they think, and even if he was, he's not Hillary. I really do believe that Hillary is something worse.
Hillary is the end of human civilization.
Well, you see Hillary's America, and it really spells it out quite well. So the anti-Trump RNC rule change failed, and there were protesters outside, but it never got as bad as it was feared to be. But at one point, they did break through the barriers and get closer, but it never really became the violent episode that a lot of people thought it would become. Meanwhile, MSNBC, I don't know if you heard about this, Rachel Maddow, on her program on MSNBC, she put out a disclaimer to warn her viewers about something that might be, very offensive, and if they couldn't handle it, to look away. And so what do you think she was getting ready to show? Nudity, maybe violence, blood.
I hope it's not her nudity. She can keep.
You know what she was warning her viewers about to turn away if they couldn't handle it. Anti-Hillary buttons.
Oh, well, you'd have to have a safe space on campus to hide from that kind of emotional trauma.
And then finally, story number 6, before we let Mr. Alex here grab the mic completely for a moment. Democrats, the party of you can't. Okay, here's my list. You can't have Happy Meal toys. If you remember, in Santa Clara and San Francisco counties have now outlawed Happy Meal toys because it makes the kids want, fast food, junk food for the toys. You can't have sugary drinks. That was a New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Of course, that wound up getting laughed off. You can't have plastic grocery bags. If Democrat sponsors across the nation are trying to get rid of plastic grocery bags, you can't have toy guns, and especially in the Ohio House. Democrat State Rep Bill Patman of Cleveland introduced House Bill 119 that would make it illegal to manufacture, sell, or display toy guns. Can't have bottled water. In San Francisco, they are going to get... Wait a second. Don't we have bottled water because of the Democrats and the worries about environment?
All they're doing is showing us that they can jerk us around and getting us used to the idea that we're being told what to do and we better shut up and like it.
In New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio is pushing a proposal to get rid of horse-drawn carriages. You can't have goldfish. The San Francisco Animal Control and Welfare Commission proposed a ban on selling goldfish to prevent their inhumane suffering of living in a fishbowl. You can't have beauty, especially if it's a Barbie doll. Let's see, Lincoln County proposed in West Virginia proposed House Bill 2918 in 2009, banning the sale of Barbie dolls and other dolls that influence girls to be beautiful.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Well, we want them all to look like Rachel Maddow, right?
Right.
You can't have crosshair symbols. Remember Gabriel Giffords? You can't. They blamed the crosshair symbols on Sarah Palin's site, and so in the 2012 election season, there was an idea to expand Title 18, Section 871 of the U.S. Code to make it illegal to have crosshairs on websites and pages and everything else.
Despite the fact that the Democrats have been using that image for years.
Oh, yeah. You can't have early football kickoff because, early morning college games is not good for the students, so we have to get rid of that. You can't have the Pledge of Allegiance. In Massachusetts, Democratic State Congressman Frank Schmizik vocally backed in 2011 an effort by the Brookline Political Action for Peace group to ban the Pledge of Allegiance in school.
Well, now that one makes sense. You don't want to raise kids to be prejudiced in favor of the United States.
Yeah, especially when it says one nation under God in it. Can't have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't have candles. This one, 2011 Democratic lawmaker in Nevada introduced a bill that would outlaw air fresheners and candles. Outlaw air fresheners? How could you stand to be in a room full of Democrats without air fresheners?
Really, I think Rachel Maddow and Rosie O'Donnell probably use up a whole case of them.
And you can't use certain words. Political correctness and hate speech laws have been emerging in an attempt to limit our speech. In the case of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, she's proposed banning the word welfare because the word welfare should be changed to transitional living fund or something else for people to be able to live. That's more explanatory. So what's next? We want to ban fossil fuels to private conveyances. They want to ban any education other than what they control. If you're not good enough parents, they want to ban parenthood. It takes a village. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, you can't have your own children. I don't know. So here's my point. The Democrat Party says they are for freedom and for the common man, but yet they are the party of you can't. You can't have freedom of speech, freedom of press, assembly, meet, travel between the states,
possession
Barbie dolls,
of
firearms. How dare you? Okay. And by the way, they will, though, however, sponsor plastic surgery or transgender surgery.
Yeah, for guys that are in prison for life without possibility of parole.
And they want to make sure those guys can vote.
They want them to vote and get a sex change operation at our expense. That makes sense.
All right, you got 5 minutes. Poem, book of the week. Clock's ticking.
Here we go. Okay. Being as how we're talking about this movie about Hillary, I have a poem that I wrote a couple of years ago called Wicked. And it's got a subtitle. If you're not frightened, you're not paying attention. Did you ever think when Barack came by that human liberty was about to die? They raid our shops and tap our phones and pack our courts with their Marxist clones. They tell us lies and call us names while our Constitution goes up in flames. We cry and pray and organize, but nothing breaks through their wall of lies. We are racists and fascists and filthy swine, at least according to their party line. Check out the movies or TV stations. Ours is the worst of all possible nations. They teach it in high school and then in college. American greed is common knowledge. Whatever we have, we stole it somewhere. Our blood-stained souls are beyond repair. Barack Obama agrees completely. His Marxist views, once held so discreetly, inform all his actions from pen to phone as he creates legislation all on his own. He has spent all our money. We're drowning in debt. When you vote for a fascist, that's just what you get. He hates this whole country and all that is in it. If we must fight a new war, he won't let us win it. We have 2 more years to put up with this traitor. Every day that goes by, our danger grows greater. He won't want to leave when his term is expired, nor will the counterfeit czars he has hired. The last thing we want is to provide an excuse for Obama to engage in further abuse. Let him go quickly, this petulant child. We'll celebrate richly. Our joy will run wild.
Nice poem. I think it nails it. What was the name of that one? Wicked?
Wicked.
All right, you got some discussing of a book to do. You got 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, I have a subject that I keep coming back to, but I have to because America has been living a lie at least since the 1930s. The Marxists have taken over so completely that we don't even recognize it anymore. We had a fella in the station last week, and I kept talking to him about my strategies, and he kept saying, but the newspapers and the TV stations are in the hands of the liberals. They slant everything. It's all biased. And I go, yeah, but that's a given. And he finally got up and walked out. And I thought, okay, let's go over it. Before we go into Ann Coulter's treason and M. Stanton Evans blacklisted by history, I'm going to do 2 book reviews at the same time. Before we do that, let's look at what kind of newspaper people we have, the most famous, the most successful. You got Walter Duranty. I've talked about him before. He was a supporter of Stalin. When the Ukrainians challenged his Pulitzer Prize, Arthur Pinch Sulzberger, the birthright publisher of the New York Times, said, no, we have to, we have to keep this man's Pulitzer Prize or it will be like blacklisting. Baloney. Then we have a guy named Michael Straight. Michael Straight wrote a book called After Long Silence. He's one of these talking heads on TV. He's also a birthright publisher. His parents started the New Republic. He's the guy who cooked up the term witch hunt. Well, it turns out now that when the Cambridge Five were busted in England, and he thought they were hot on his trail, he wrote a book in which he confessed that he was a spy for Stalin during World War II. Here's the guy that invented the term witch hunt, and he's a spy. We got Owen Lattimore, who's not so famous, but he coined the term McCarthyism. He's not in Venona, but all of his employees and friends are. He's a hardcore communist. He supported Mao Zedong. He's the old China hand that helped cut off the aid to Chiang Kai-shek and gave Mao Zedong the ability to murder 64 million people in his country. Then you got Brooks Atkinson, New York Times, praised Mao. He helped blow the same gold shipment to Chiang Kai-shek. He called Mao an agrarian reformer, said he absolutely was not a communist.
And we're simply out of time right there, brother.
Okay, well, I'll take it up next week.
So we'll carry on next week. He'll continue through this and also talk about your books. We got 5 stories still to go through, and we need to go through them quickly after we return. Don't go anywhere.
Let's do it.
You you got a dent in your door, a scratch in your fender, or a scratch in your door and a dent in your fender. If you need auto detailing, if you need fire shooting decals on the side of your car, if you need a rally stripe right down the middle of your hardtop, I don't care what it is. The Patriots at All-Star Collision are the place you want to go. They're the only place to go. 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Web address allstarci.com to see all that they do and what they're all about. Phone number 951-279-9161. All-Star Collision, the kings of rock and roll.
We're the Banning Beaumont Cherry Valley Tea Party, and we're active in your area. Check us out on Conservative Voice Radio Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on this same station, 1490. Join us for one of our weekly meetings Tuesdays at 8 a.m. and the second Thursday of each month, 6 p.m. at the Farmhouse Restaurant in Banning. Or call us at 1-800-350-2637, extension 912.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, President Wholesale Capital Corporation, your direct mortgage lender. Real estate prices are still low, which means now's the time to buy your next home before they go up. Whether it's a home to live in, a vacation house, or an investment property, we can meet your mortgage financing needs to help you realize the next phase of your American dream. At Wholesale Capital Corporation, we make sure you get a loan that you can afford with terms that work for you. Wholesale Capital welcomes FHA buyers, conventional buyers, jumbo loan buyers, and we proudly help the U.S. military veterans take advantage of the zero down payment VA loan program. Nobody treats veterans better than Wholesale Capital Corporation. Seniors, if you're interested in creating an additional stream of income or just making your mortgage payment go away with a reverse mortgage, Wholesale Capital would love to help you. To speak with a loan officer who has your best interests in mind, call Wholesale Capital at 855-640-2020. That's area code 855-640-2020. Wholesale Capital Corporation, where we can close.
And now, back to our program.
Welcome back to Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs right here on KMET 1490 AM. I am the Constitution guy. Learn more about me at douglasvgibbs.com. Read what I write at politicalpistachio.com. Visit my classes. There's one in Corona, Lake Elsinore, and Temecula, and once a month in Banning. Find out more about that when you go to douglasvgibbs.com and hit the Constitution link. All right. Did you know that President Obama, during a speech, said that don't worry about these terrorists. In the end, globalism will win?
The man is a fool.
Yeah.
And that's not racist. He'd be a fool no matter what color he was.
Well, yeah, exactly. But he's a fool because he's a fool. And Karl Marx would be proud of what he's been saying and what he's been doing. He says that, and he also says that Islam, quote, is a religion that teaches peace and justice and compassion. We will defeat these non-Islamic terrorists' ideologies by offering a better vision of development and economic progress so people, especially young people, have more hope and opportunity and are less susceptible to extremism and violence in the first place.
That's all they need is a job program.
Exactly. In the wake of last night's attacks, he was referring to Nice, we've heard more suggestions that all Muslims in America be targeted, tested for their beliefs, some deported or jailed. The very suggestion is repugnant and an affront to everything that we stand for as Americans. So in other words, invite the terrorists into the country. Or as Ben Carson said, and I said this earlier, if a bowl of M&Ms had 3 poison candies in it, would you eat any of them? And, of course, the obvious answer is no. Meanwhile, police continue to be targeted as Mr. Obama slaps targets on their backs. We've got attacks in Kansas, Missouri, Atlanta. We just had what was it? Dallas, Baton Rouge. You had 3 in Baton Rouge. I mean, it just continues.
You can't keep up with it anymore. It used to be you could keep a list of them in your mind, but now there's just too many.
And as police are being targeted by Muslims, by the way, you've noticed too, it's always Muslims. Or almost always. But of course, but 2 of them, they're either Muslims or Black Power advocates, one of the 2. But as they do that, 2 of them had served in the military, and of course the media focuses on them that they were veterans. Try to poison veterans. Meanwhile, story number 3, worldwide terrorism. We've got France, we've got Germany. Munich, Germany, shopping center shooting. Turned out to be 1 shooter, 9 dead. We've got 8 84 dead after Nice, France.
That one guy was an Iranian citizen. Does that calculate for you?
Yeah, well, but they said, oh, he was an Iranian German. Yeah, he immigrated there 2 years ago. He was a refugee from Iran.
All my friends say, well, what about the Timothy McVeigh? Well, yeah, three M&Ms out of all of them doesn't.
Well, the thing is, Timothy McVeigh wasn't a Christian like they try to make him out to be. But that's beside the point. France has covered up the Muslim atrocities that went on during the Paris shooting.
Yeah, I hear they tortured him and did all kinds of horrible things to him, and
the things that are so horrible I can't even mention them on the air. Meanwhile, when Obama brings up what happened in Munich while he's out of the country, right after he talks about it, and he spends like a minute and a half on it, then he starts laughing and talking about Malia, his daughter, leaving the nest to go to college and all that. So it was no big deal to him. If anything, he was probably happy about it.
I think the term is sociopath.
Well, he shifted gears quickly. I mean, we're talking death here, terrorist attacks.
He doesn't feel it.
Well, plus, he's a Muslim. A lot of people believe he's a Muslim anyway, and maybe he's celebrating that it's happened. You think that's possible?
I think it's like the people that say that Shakespeare didn't write his works. It was either written by Shakespeare or another person of the same name.
It's like the same people will say we didn't go to the moon. It was a staged production. But if you look at the technology at the time, it actually would have cost more to do a staged production than just to go to the moon in the first place.
Well,
plus there's a flag sitting up there that we can see with telescopes.
Larry Elder says that there's 11% of the population that believes that Elvis Presley will answer your letter. There's always 11% that believe anything.
Well, wasn't Elvis Presley explained in Men in Black?
I think I missed that part. I was looking at the pug.
Yeah, he was actually an alien.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. Meanwhile, we've got Islamic, this is story number 2, Islamic infiltration into the United States government. The co-founder of Black Lives Matter is a Muslim. Her name is Uzra Kugali. Did you know that?
Who's that?
Uzra Kugali. She's a black Muslim. She's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. She's Muslim.
Well, you got Valerie Jarrett. She was born in Iran.
Right.
Grew up there.
The man behind the Dallas Black Lives Matter protests in Dallas, which provided the opportunity for the Black Power and Muslim guy to kill 5 police officers. The organizer of that protest is Muslim.
Uma Abedin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got Uma. And you got let's see here. The list is so long, I almost can't go through it here.
Well, I understand in our intelligence agencies, they've been putting Muslims in all kinds of key positions.
The co-founder of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club is a Muslim, and he says that they seek to develop over time a regimented black army to educate the masses of black people on the necessity of self. That includes self-preservation, self-defense, self-sufficiency through a militant culture. So black liberation influence is Marxist and Muslim in nature, and the goal of the guy I was just mentioned, Omar Wali, is simply to create through violence a nation within the United States that could be used as a base to launch hostilities against America and spread Marxism and Islam. So the infiltration is not just into our culture; it's also through our government and through our governmental systems. And in 2008, the Democrats in Islam took advantage of the perfect storm, using the candidacy of the first black president to its full advantage, creating a fervor of praise for Barack Obama that spread across the country and the rest of the world. He promised hope, a powerful word in the English language. He promised change, the old standby for the Democrat Party. Obama was young. His skin color drew in more than 90% of the black vote. If that isn't racist, I don't know what is. He thrilled his followers with an incredible ability to read a teleprompter and fake it as a great orator. He excited and enthralled people around the globe with his words. And the liberal leftists of the world who have bought into the idea that evil does not exist except in the form of the American military have backed him. They see as a good thing to have a connection to Islam. They hated George Bush as it was, and the liberal left of the world believed the only reason Islam was at war with the West is because Bush invaded Iraq. Never mind the fact that they want to kill every infidel. Obama promised to end the hostilities, to end all wars in Muslim countries, and through all of that, he would improve America's standing on human rights, alleviate global poverty, and stop the man-made global warming induced rise of the oceans, because, we can. Yes, we can, they shouted. And months later, the new president of the United States was even awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for what he had been saying, but not for anything he had done. And as far as they were concerned, he would keep his promises and accomplish everything he said he would. And the people believed in him. And here we are now, years later.
Well, I protest in Whittier at a particular corner, Painter and Whittier Boulevard, and I hold up signs. And I took that corner because the peace activists used it all the time, and I oppose them. Since Obama took place, the peace activists are not opposing anything in terms of war. Obama kills people with drones. He kills American citizens with drones. There's collateral damage. All the stuff that they screamed about with Bush, and yet they don't seem to care. They're not on the corner. They're not protesting. It's okay if a Democrat does it. It's only not okay if it's a conservative.
You had mentioned earlier Uma Abedin, who was the deputy chief of staff to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. How about Mehdi K. al-Hassani? At the time of the Benghazi attacks, al-Hassani was special assistant to the Office of the Chief of Staff, National Security Council staff, and Executive Office of the President. And then there's Rashad Hussain, very much connected to the global Muslim Brotherhood apparatus, once tried to cover up his positive comments that convicted terrorist Sami al-Arian as Obama's special envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Hussain knows all too well what the primary goal of the OIC is: to make any and all criticism of speech against Islam criminal. In the wake of the Benghazi attacks, riots all over the Middle East outside the U.S. diplomatic institutions broke out, and OIC member states attempted to exploit these riots and protests to push the OIC objective.
You don't suppose that there's some connection between them and the stand-down order in Benghazi?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've been infiltrated. What do you do when you've been infiltrated?
Just like in World War II when the communists infiltrated the FDR administration.
And finally, story number one, Merkel, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, you know what she said after this attack in Munich?
I can't wait.
We can't rule out that there are terrorist attacks. We can't confirm them, but we are investigating along those lines, too. You can only have absolute security in an absolute surveillance state, and nobody wants that. It would be the opposite of our free Western European way of life. So either, she said, either you're completely under terrorist attack or you're in a surveillance state. How about if you profiled? That would take care of not being a surveillance state.
She reminds me of Madeleine Albright. She's very articulate at saying moronic things.
And unfortunately, that's very true. So we've got a Muslim infiltration, but she's saying, well, you can't question the Muslims. You see, the problem is they're stunned. They don't understand why the Muslims are a problem, because they basically believe their own BS.
Part of their BS is that they make everything a binary choice. It's either what we want or it's some horror.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the enemy is the enemy. The enemy has declared war on us, but unfortunately, we're not willing to fight the war back. That's the problem. And the U.S. Constitution requires in Article 4 for the federal government to protect the states from invasion. Instead, they are infiltrating the invaders, importing the invaders, importing the infiltrators into the states when they're supposed to protect the states.
I got news for the Democrats and their peace organizations. You cannot run away from a world war.
And with that, we're out of time, so plug yourself.
Try conservativecannonade.org. That's where my poems are. You can download them.
And I am Douglas V. Gibbs. This has been Constitution Radio right here on KMET. Get the KMET app for your phone. It's fantastic. You can't get the signal? No problem. Hit the app on your phone. You got the show live whenever you're ready to listen. Get the phone app and also visit douglasvgibbs.com, politicalpistachio.com. And remember, united we stand, combined we all kick butt. That's what I meant to say. And,
nobody's perfect.
God bless America. And my friends, God bless you. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening, and thank you for spending time. We'll see you next Saturday.